I'm Dale Smith for Looney Politics, and the House of Commons is set to rise this week, and the Senate is technically supposed to sit for a week later, but there's already chatter that they're going to be leaving around the same time that MPs will. And it didn't used to be this way. It used to be that the Senate would sit for another week or two or even three longer than MPs did in order to make sure that they got all the business cleared from their plates before they went home for the summer. And it was kind of one of those trade-offs because they would usually start a week or two later in the fall or in the winter because there were fewer bills on their table or on their order paper at that point. But under the recent leadership in the new independent era of the Senate, the government leaders in the Senate have tended to operate in a way that senators go home at the same time that MPs do, which creates its own problems for bills left on the order paper. Now, the other thing to consider is that under the current hybrid situation, the Senate has been really shortchanged because there aren't enough resources to go around. And their agreement with the House of Commons when it comes to sharing resources is that the House of Commons takes priority, which means there have been a lot of Senate committees that have simply not been able to meet because there simply aren't enough resources. And by resources, we largely mean interpretation staff. Now, with the House of Commons leaving, this would leave the Senate all of the resources available so that they can have their committee meetings and catch up on work that they weren't able to get done because the House of Commons had been monopolizing the resources. But the chatter right now is not how that seems to be taking place. For example, the Communications and Transportation Committee in the Senate was debating doing a pre-study of the online streaming bill, but we're talking about possibly only having one meeting or two before they went home for the summer. But the full bill itself will be arriving at the Senate this week, which means that they would have all of the time and the resources to actually study that bill properly without needing to worry about not having the resources that the House of Commons would otherwise be monopolizing. And more to the point, the fact that this bill in particular was not very well scrutinized in the House of Commons and at its committees because it was the subject of procedural warfare and filibusters and hours and hours of time that could have been spent either interviewing witnesses or debating amendments properly were wasted by theatrical pronouncements and filibustering activities. There's another bill that the House of Commons is set to pass this week at all stages with no debate, which closes a loophole in the criminal code around extreme intoxication. That leaves it for the Senate to actually do the work of scrutinizing the bill and ensuring that it's actually properly compliant with the Constitution and the recent ruling from the Supreme Court of Canada. But if MPs are planning to leave by Tuesday or Thursday this week, and senators only days later, that would mean that this bill would either languish over the summer or that senators would feel the pressure to pass it at all stages with no debate, which means they're doing a dereliction of their own particular jobs of sober second thought. Now, the Senate has the time, it's got the resources. There's no excuse for them not to sit later into the summer, at least until July, if not the first week or two into July. As well, the fact that the Senate has not sat a lot over the last 2 years because of the pandemic and the various restrictions that were in place, it seems like now would be a pretty opportune time to make up for some of that and show that they are actually serious about their jobs, which has not been the impression they've been giving in a lot of circles. For Looney Politics, I'm Dale Smith.